All right, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into a theory that claims our world isn't a globe at all, but a flat disk surrounded by a colossal, heavily guarded wall of ice. It's an idea that, if true, would flip everything we think we know about our planet on its head.
So, is it possible? Is there a massive global conspiracy designed to hide a giant ice wall at the edge of the world? This is the central claim of the ice wall theory. The belief is that Antarctica isn't a continent, it's a barrier, and that powerful people are working around the clock to hide what's on the other side.
You see, for folks who believe in a flat Earth, this isn't just some fringe idea. It's absolutely fundamental. They argue that Antarctica isn't at the bottom of the world because there is no bottom. Instead, it's a massive wall that holds in all the oceans. But to really understand where this comes from, we need to jump in our time machine. To get a handle on this very modern theory, we actually have to go way, way back. Because the idea of a flat Earth, well, it's basically as old as civilization itself. But, and this might surprise you, so is the idea that it's a sphere.
So get this, the whole idea of a round Earth, it's not new at all. It's an ancient discovery, first figured out thousands of years ago. The modern flat Earth movement is actually a revival of an old idea, brought back into the spotlight by a few writers in the 1800s.
And this right here is just brilliant. We're talking over 2,000 years ago. With basically nothing but a stick, his eyes, and his brain, Eratosthenes proved the Earth was a sphere. His logic was so simple, yet so powerful. He figured if the Earth were flat, the sun's rays would hit everywhere at the exact same angle. But they didn't. The fact that a stick cast a shadow in one city, but not in another at the very same time, could only mean one thing: the Earth's surface had to be curved.
Okay, so if we've known the Earth as a sphere for literally thousands of years, what kind of proof are modern ice wall believers pointing to? Well, let's dig into their biggest claims one by one.
All right, claim number one. This is a big one you hear all the time. It centers around the Antarctic Treaty, a real political agreement signed way back in 1959. The theory goes that this whole treaty is just a cover story to create a massive forbidden zone. But when you actually read the treaty, it says something completely different. In fact, it says the exact opposite. It explicitly bans all military activity in Antarctica. Its whole purpose was to preserve the continent as this peaceful place for science and research for the whole world.
And get this, you can literally book a trip there right now. About 100,000 tourists visit Antarctica every single year. The only thing stopping most of us isn't some secret army, it's the price tag.
Okay, next up is the argument about circumnavigation. The logic goes something like this. If Antarctica is just a regular continent at the bottom of the globe, you should be able to sail all the way around it. If you can't, well, then it must be an endless wall circling the whole Earth.
Yeah, but that's just not true. People have done it multiple times. The real barrier isn't some mysterious endless wall. The real barrier is the brutal, deadly environment. We're talking about temperatures so cold they can literally freeze you solid. That's the challenge.
Another piece of so-called proof you'll see are these really old maps. The argument is that our ancestors knew the true layout of the world and they tried to leave us clues in their cartography. But when you talk to the experts, the people who actually study these old maps for a living, they tell a very different story. They say that landmass at the bottom is almost certainly just a weirdly drawn version of South America, or maybe just a guess. You know, old-timey mapmakers would often just draw something in the blank spaces.
And finally, there's the appeal to myths and legends. You know, the argument that if all these different ancient cultures told stories about a giant ice wall at the edge of the world, there must be some truth to it, right? Well, here's the problem with that line of thinking. It's a classic logical fallacy. I mean, if we decide that shared myths are literal proof of reality, then we also have to believe in dragons and ghouls and all sorts of other mythical creatures. It's much more likely that these stories come from a shared human imagination trying to explain the unknown.
Okay, now this is where things get really interesting. A lot of the time, proponents of this theory will push science aside and say they're relying on religious texts instead. But what happens when we actually look at what some of the most respected classical religious scholars in history had to say?
Let's take Sheikh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. I mean, we're talking about one of the most influential scholars in Islamic history. He wasn't vague about it. He flat out said it was established fact that the celestial spheres, including the Earth, are round.
And he wasn't alone. The great scholar Ibn Hazm basically doubled down on that, saying that there was a complete consensus. He said not a single one of the leading respected imams denied that the Earth was a sphere.
And the list just goes on and on. You've got Al-Idrisi saying the Earth is a round sphere, Al-Dhahabi comparing it to a watermelon in the sky, and Al-Razi even explained why it looks flat to us. He said a sphere that big would obviously look flat to a tiny person standing on it. It's a matter of perspective.
So when you actually look at the numbers cited in the source material, it's not even close. The historical scholarly record shows an overwhelming consensus. 31 major scholars are cited as supporting a spherical Earth, compared to just 8 who argued for a flat one. So look, at the end of the day, this whole debate, it's about more than just geography. It's really about a specific way of thinking. What you end up with is this sort of information bubble, right? A fortress where no opposing evidence can get through. Every photo from space, every scientific measurement, every pilot's flight path, every tourist testimony, it all gets dismissed as just another part of the conspiracy.
And that's really the big takeaway here. This isn't just about Antarctica or ancient maps. It's about turning that critical lens back on ourselves. It's a challenge to ask not just what we believe, but to really honestly dig deep and question